Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. If you're brand new to my channel, well then welcome. My name's Melissa and I'm an INFJ personality type, and around here we do all types of beauty content. I do make 2 videos every single week, sometimes more but never less. So as you probably noticed by the title, we're going to get into our routine Monday video today. And what we're going to do is an in-depth review and a tutorial using this Colourpop Mega Palette. This one in particular is called It's All Good, and this is still available on their website. So here's what the palette looks like on the inside, and Colourpop describes this as a sunrise to sunset palette. And of course, later on in this video, we're going to dig deeper into the formulations and I'll tell you a little bit about them and everything, but I just want to show you what the layout looks like. What we're going to do with this today is something called a spotlight sunset eye. So we're going to put all these colors to work and create something really simple yet beautiful. So let's move right on into the tutorial. Okay guys, I moved you a little bit closer so you can see exactly what's going on here, and we're gonna get started with our prep steps. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and tightline my upper lash line, and I'm just gonna take a black pencil to do this with. So with this black pencil, I'm just gonna try to line between every single lash and make this waterline area really dark. Now for eye primer, you guys know what my favorite one is, the Revlon Candid Concealer, but I kind of like to switch between eye primers so I can get a good grip on which one I kind of am interested in. So for today, I'm just going to use this Urban Decay one. I've been using this the past couple times I've been doing my eyeshadow, and it's just okay. I'll have a more in-depth review as I kind of get through this bottle. But when I do use this one, I find that I really have to layer it up for the best results. So now we're ready to get into the actual eyeshadow part, and for pretty much the majority of the look, I'm just going to take a really small domed blending brush. And of course, I have everything specifically named down below in case you're ever interested in what the particular name of something is. Like I said earlier in the video, this look is pretty simple in my opinion. There's not much personalization to it, but it's just a really good way to show what this palette can do because we're using a lot of the different colors. So on my brush, I'm going to go into the deepest shade in the palette called Rock Sugar. And I'm going to start putting this on my outer corner. I just kind of like to stamp it at first. And I want to take a little bit of this and make sure it comes above my crease. Now we're going to do the same technique on the inside portion. We're just going to let it come a little bit above the crease and make sure the interior lid is fully opaque. So what I did is I totally and completely cleaned off all the pigment from my brush. So I'm just taking the same brush I just used and going in and giving this a good blend. We're going to end up putting some colors on top of this. So you want to make sure that it has some nice soft edges so it doesn't look too choppy when we layer it up. Same brush, I'm going into the light pink shade called Good Vibes. And I'm just going to lightly fluff this on the very outer edge of that brown that we just placed. And then when you get to this part, it's a good tip to start blending downward. And of course, I'm going to take that same shade and do the same thing to the inner portion. And lastly, you want to go into this bright yellow shade called Sunbelt. And we're going to put this on the very outer edge. The next brush I'm taking is one of my multi-purpose flat brushes I always use in my videos, and I'm going into the bright purple shimmer called Paradiso. And depending on how much you blew out these shadows with your brush, you should kind of have a bare space in the middle, and just apply this to the entirety of that bare space that you see. And when I mean place it on there, I mean bring it all the way up to the top of the shape. Now I'm going to take a liquid black eyeliner and go ahead and line the top lash line pretty thickly. I'm not going to do a wing or anything, just bring it to the edge of my eye. Now for this next step, I'm taking a really tiny liner silicone applicator and I'm going into the really piecey looking multi-tone glitter. And I'm just gonna go ahead and stamp this onto that black line. Now for the lower lash line, I'm just gonna go ahead and take a thicker type angle brush and go back into the deepest shade in the palette called Rock Sugar. And I'm gonna start in my very inner corner and bring this out to match this part out here. And then for the last part of the lower lash, I'm taking that same fluffy brush that we used on the top part and going back into that bright yellow shade. And I'm just gonna give this bottom lash line a quick blend with that yellow. Now for the brow bone, I just went into the shade Happy Go Lucky and I just lightly stamped this into the most high point of my brow bone area. And for the actual pictorial, when I did this look, I put glitter in the inner corner, but I'm just gonna go ahead for today and put that Happy Go Lucky shade in the inner corner as well. So here's the eye look. I'm gonna go off camera, do the other eye, put on some mascara, and I'll be back so we can talk about it. All right guys, I'm back, and as I was finishing up this eye look, I totally forgot to do the waterline, so I want to do that right now with you guys. And for this look, I thought it would be really cool to do a bright pink waterline. So I'm just gonna take this pencil and apply it to my waterline. So now that we actually finished the look, here's what it turned out like, and I do have some thoughts about it. I do love the way a spotlight eye looks, and I do think this is a good eye look to showcase the true colors in this palette. However, I do have glitter fall out all over my face, so having to do this eye look a second time, I would definitely go in with some type of glitter adhesive to make sure it stays in place. Of course, glitter in any eye look is always optional and it's definitely up to the person themselves, but I am not one to shy away from glitter, and I'm a glitter fanatic, so whenever one's offered to me, I'm always up for it. But all in all, I had no trouble doing this eye look, and it was very minimal brushes, and everything went pretty quickly in my opinion. So with all that being said, let's move right into the review. Hey guys, welcome to the review portion of this video, and today we're going to be talking about the Colourpop Cosmetics It's All Good Mega Palette. This is actually my first time ever trying one of these big palettes from Colourpop, and I was interested in trying this because I wanted to see if the formula was consistent with all their other releases or if this was something special. So of course, let's talk about the packaging a little bit. So this construction is larger than normal, and this does feature some raised and textured type of cardboard packaging. So when you do open it up, there's no mirror inside here. And I do enjoy that this palette folds completely back. And here's a color story we're going to be talking about. Colourpop describes this as a sunrise to sunset palette. So in here, you're getting 4 different formulas. You're getting mattes, sequins, metallics, and glitters. And doing the math on it is 57% non-matte heavy. So if you're a person that likes a balanced palette, this is not that, and it definitely contains more metallics and glitters than matte shadows. So let's move right into the routine data check. This palette in particular is not clarified as being any type of clean formula. This palette is cruelty-free. This one is not vegan. And unfortunately, there's no expiration date on this packaging at all. It may have been on the exterior box, but I do not have that. So real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and pop up some swatches of this palette so you can see how every shade looks swatched out. So now moving right into the cost evaluation. If you went out and bought this palette as it is today, it would cost you $34. Breaking that down a little bit comes to $1.13 per shade, and breaking that down a bit further comes to $1.03 per gram. So comparing this palette to other palettes available on the market, the price per shade is excellent. And additionally, this palette has a relatively affordable cost per gram compared to other palettes that I've previously reviewed. So let's move right into the most opinionated part of this review, which is my recommendation. So guys, let's do the hit points first of patching, creasing, staining, and blendability. As far as patchiness, I didn't experience any whatsoever. As for creasing, I wore my eye look for 6 hours and there were no signs of creasing. Now regarding staining, I do want to mention that this palette is eyeshadows and pressed pigments, and I didn't experience any staining at all. And as far as blendability, I did find this formula easy enough to blend. It's not the best in regards to that, but it was easy enough. Now let's talk some details about this. I really like that this has the light to dark color story. I always look for that in a palette, and this does have several opportunities to create depth, and I do like that because it makes a palette more versatile. I did notice some shade redundancy in both the matte and the metallics, so a lot of the shades did look alike, and I think this color story could have definitely been condensed. As far as my justification for this palette, I do know it's not a very unique color story, and we've definitely seen this before, but I do not own a Colourpop Mega palette at all, so that's the reason I kind of wanted to try it. And out of all these shades that I tested, I didn't come across any dud shades at all. As far as the matte formula itself, I did include the few sequin shades that are in here, and the sequins are just basically matte shadows. They have little tiny pinpoint glitters in it, but I find that they perform just like a matte, and the glitters kind of dust away as you blend them out. And if you're curious, the mattes included in here are more of a buildable formula. These mattes are definitely not super intense, so if you want to get some high pigment, you're going to have to layer them up quite a few times. Now for the non-mattes, as far as the metallics go, there are quite a few duochrome metallics in here, and I thought that was pretty cool. And there are also two glitters in here, as I mentioned, but the two glitters are very, very different from each other in both look and texture. And I did test all the application methods for both the metallics and the glitters, and you could use any application method that you choose for the metallics. They all work just fine. But for the glitters, they work best with your finger or with a silicone applicator. Now, if this is a palette that you've been looking at and kind of thinking if you should get it, or if you just basically been on the fence about it, I recommend it. And of course, I have 3 reasons why I say so. My first reason is because this palette does capture the true essence of a sunset. If you're trying to create a true sunset look on your eye, this palette does offer you everything you need plus more. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very versatile in that department, plus it's an affordable price. My second reason is that these metallics in here are an exquisite formula. I've tried plenty of Colourpop palettes, and to me it's really hit or miss, but this palette itself is super good. I was incredibly impressed with how these metallics applied. And my third reason for recommendation is because you can do tons of different gradients with this. I like the fact that they included not only bright hues, but they also included a lot of blend out shades too. So if you're a person that's been working on your gradients or just playing around with them, this would definitely come in handy. So guys, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a giant thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, just hit that thumbs down button. And until next time, bye.